Welcome everybody to Shady Side Academy. Tonight we have the Steel FC, coached by Brian Lucchini, and from Pittsburgh, playing the Germantown City FC from Germantown, Maryland. This is the first of 3 qualifiers, one and done though, in the Lamar US Open Cup qualifier. It's a very unique tournament because amateurs could end up playing professionals if they advance far enough, such as the Riverhounds. And Germantown gets the possession right away. And here we go. Germantown in the white, Steel FC in the gold. Nice ball. And the Germantown goalie was a little aggressive to come out and get that. And I think it was a good idea because he would have been in a world of trouble had he not. Both teams trying to keep possession, and Steel has been putting a lot of pressure on Germantown, and they get possession. Go wide. And that's actually a shot from about the 30-yard line. He had some mustard behind it, but the goalie, that was an easy save. Looks like we have an injury. Yeah, okay. So joining me today on the broadcast is Ange Lucchini on the camera, and Brian Adams. Brian Adams played on the Mount Lebanon high school soccer team that won the WPL championship with Brian Lucchini.
So just a side note, Steel FC has come out in a 4-5-1 formation with the attacking midfielder being Christian Lewandowski and Vergara being the striker. They're starting out in a conservative approach, just to try to gauge how this game pans out. But obviously, with momentum, they would look to attack more.
And that's pretty much comes from their coach, Brian Lucchini. He was on the WPIL winning team of Mount Lebanon High School. He then went on to IUP, my alma mater, and he managed the IUP men's club soccer team. And he led that team in 2013 to 3rd place in the East region. He also led that team in the fall to 2nd place in the Premier Club soccer tournament. And presently he's the manager of Steel FC in the Greater Pittsburgh Soccer League, the GPSL. So it's nice to have Ange helping us on the camera and Brian helping us with some strategy and some color. Because he certainly knows the game, he's played the game. And so we got a trio. We got a trio of folks here up on the camera. And this should be quite an interesting game here at beautiful Shady Side Academy in Fox Chapel, under the lights. Earlier today, the University of Pittsburgh pulled out a big win against Central Florida in football down at Heinz Field. So that's a big upset. Nice cross. You know, we're always a proponent of going wide and then crossing that ball in. It just gives you a lot more space. That's Matt McDowell, I believe. And that looks like a corner for Steel FC. Matt McDowell also played at Mount Lebanon High School. And I think he played up at Penn State in their sort of club or intramural program, and it's very competitive up there. A lot of soccer players at Penn State that don't play on the actual team. It's such a big school with a ton of talent. Here's our first corner. It goes out. It's going to be Germantown. With the possession. How this qualifier works is that it's basically do or die. You win, you advance, you lose, you're out. You have to win 3 qualifying games to get into the actual tournament, and then it's single elimination also from there on in. So these players have some incentive to get into this tournament and maybe get a bite of the River Hans or somebody like that. This is the first Germantown threat. Wow, nice save by the goalie. It's a good shot, nice save. The goalie's Brendan Birmingham. He was a keeper up at Penn State, and the coach is Century United. Nice job. Or as they say in soccer, well done. That's soccer lingo. And the other thing they say in soccer is unlucky, when it doesn't go your way. So that's soccer lingo, and you know, it's always been interesting because soccer is I think maybe the second most popular game in the world behind cricket, and but Western Pennsylvania is football territory. So soccer has always had to compete with football, but with the concussions in football and the violence, I think soccer is gaining some momentum in terms of interest. This is certainly a contact sport for sure, and there's concussions here also, but it's nothing like football. But this is a physical game, and some people say this is the real football, but in Pittsburgh it's just a whole different culture here, with football being king. But we love soccer, and that's why we're here bringing you this broadcast, because this team from Maryland drove all the way up to Shadyside Academy to knock Steel FC out of this tournament, and I think Brian Lucchini and his boys have different ideas about that. Brian Lucchini, when he was younger, he played baseball, basketball, soccer. I think he might have wanted to play football, like Pennsylvania football, but I'm not sure his parents were real keen about it, if I get the story straight. Ange, do you know anything about that?
No, I have no idea.
Well, Ange and Brian had one of the biggest and best weddings I've ever been to. It was terrific, down in Oakland, and we just had a ball. Ange comes from Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So Maryland's down that way. One of the neighbors. Every time I drive through Virginia, I see the Virginia is for lovers. So they like that saying. There's some physicality. That's great hustle, great tackle. Now, that could have been a foul, but they didn't call it.
That one definitely was.
When Brian Lucchini was in high school, he played forward. He was the goal scorer. Brian Adams here today with us. He was the midfielder. He was fit. He could run that field back and forth. And you're running a lot of miles as a midfielder in this game, and it is not for the faint of heart. You have to be very, very fit to play midfield and be good at it.
And speaking of the midfield to striker connection, it's going to be interesting to see how this game plays out, just with the height advantage that Steel FC appears to have. Set pieces may become very important as you know, balls are crossed into the 18.
I mean, I'm so old that we didn't even have a soccer team at Penn Hills High School. We just played intramurals. But I liked it because I liked scoring goals. It was fun. Beautiful night here at Shadyside Academy. We've had such a great stretch of weather here in the last month here in Pittsburgh. Very little rain and just beautiful weather, good sleeping weather. It's just been a nice stretch of weather. You know, we see across our country, some of our states have been hit very, very hard with the problems we're having with the climate. And just the other day, all these young people put that big climate protest together across the world, led by that little girl Greta from Sweden. And boy, what a monumental feat that was. She's going to be a star. She is a star. I think she's very young, in her early teens. Steel FC trying to get the ball out of the trouble area. It's a nice touch. Matt McDowell back to the goalkeeper, and Germantown gets the possession.
Pittsburgh soccer now.
The Greater Pittsburgh Soccer League has some very talented players that play in it, and many or most or all of these players play in that league.
And to provide a little clarity on the GPSL League currently, Steel FC is currently in second place in the regular season behind the Tartan Devils.
I saw that.
Tartan Devils are actually in this. They got a bid into this tournament as well, this cup tournament. So they're also having a first round matchup, you know, against a regional team as well. But when the playoffs start, they might face each other in the GPSL. You know, tournament bracket there as well, Steel FC.
Well, they must be pretty talented, the Tartan team, and that was a great run by the Steel FC. I don't know if he's a midfielder or a forward, probably the midfielder, and they get their second corner kick of the game. Goes a little wide, but I think corner kicks tell a little bit of the story in a soccer game. The team that is getting more corner kicks, or the team maybe on the attack more, and I think that I would say that they have an edge right now, Steel FC, in being in Germantown City's side of the field. But as we know in soccer, it's all about getting that ball in the net.
And you might see the attacking midfielder for Steel FC start to push up a little bit more, just to capture the momentum and try to slot a goal. So they use that fifth midfielder as sort of a go-between to where, if they're on their heels a little bit, he'll go back and play more defensive. But if they're, they do gain the possession and have a lot of corner kicks, he'll push up a lot. So it'll be interesting to see how that Christian Lewandowski, what he does, if he's pushing back or if he's keeping the pressure on.
Well, he's certainly up on the attack right now. Number 10, Christian. Oh, Matt Oh! Goal! I took that right out of the Mexicans' announcers.
I don't think he does.
Matt McDowell with a rocket.
And as you mentioned, you start to see corner kicks and you find a goal.
One of Mount Lebanon's finest, Matt McDowell, gets it in the net, and that's a big goal for Steel FC to jump on top like that. Obviously, there's a lot of time left in this game, but everybody wants to get that first goal. Beautiful goal.
And this could certainly influence Brian Lucchini's plan of, formation moving forward.
That's a great ball by Matt McDowell again with his left foot. Matt McDowell having a really strong game. A beautiful move to beat that defender. That was a terrific run. And you just don't see a whole lot of defenders scoring the first goal. You just don't see it that often.
Anthony's playing for Vergara.
Anthony Vergara's playing today, yep.
And one of the nice perks of having a fullback push up like Matt is in cases like that, sometimes Brian will have him play center field, playing sweeper per se, but having the ability to have an extra attacker sort of is similar to having Letang on a power play for the Pens.
And oh my goodness, that was a nice corner kick, the third of the game for Steel FC. And on that move was Anthony Vergara. He played forward at Marshall University, so he has quite a soccer resume.
Portica's on the bench. He's not here.
It's Cody and Zach.
Yeah, Cody couldn't come this weekend. Zach's here though.
Whoa!
But I think they're both registered. Yeah, he has like 19 people on the roster, but only 13 are here today.
So Germantown City on their heels. And Steel FC has really come out strong here after the first 10 minutes of just feeling each other out. Caught a foul.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Lewandowski, another Mount Lebanon High School graduate, and I mean, you're seeing these guys play because that's where Brian Lucchini played. Oh, that's a nice ball, nice touch, and now they got some momentum. Nice move. but well defended. Well done by the Steel FC. Oh my, that was a rocket
Wildly optimistic.
from the 35-yard line. He had some mustard on that. I think it was his left foot also.
And that's going to be something Steel FC has to be careful of, is getting countered when they have the momentum.
Mickey here. Where? He's coaching too.
No, he's just not showing up.
Brendan Birmingham.
He's been on the team all year. But
Brendan Birmingham with the goal kick.
I think he played for Hotspurs this summer.
Yeah, he played for the MPSL team. Their season's done. And I know have been entering this tournament.
Well, Bulgaria came back from San Diego. That's where he was this past summer, playing out there.
After the MPSL team. I saw him a couple of weeks.
And one thing to note about
He's
this
been on San Diego, I think.
about this particular tournament is that there's 3 substitutions available for Brian Lucchini if he needs to, sub in somebody, fresh legs, or there's an injury or whatnot. So there's roughly 11 players and then 3 subs.
And if you sub in, that player that subs out cannot come back in.
Correct. And it's even to the extreme that if there's 2 or 3, 4 injuries, you'll have to play down a man potentially, just given that the max sub limit is 3, and that's not a flexible number.
Germantown goalie came way out of the box to get that ball. He's just not interested in having that 18 populated with gold shirts. Matt McDowell. That's beautiful. Well
Great
played.
pass.
Really well played. Oh, offside. Boy, they had some room over there too.
No, I wasn't outside. He called the foul back.
Oh, it was a foul in the back. Correction.
And just a side note, Steel FC was founded in 2015 with Brian Lucchini and Tom Edelman. So a relatively young team, but they've been pooling different players, generally from the ages of 18 to 29. So this particular game doesn't show the entire roster of everyone on this team, just who they've taken to the tournament.
But I think he said that was the majority of the rosters. Steel FC. He got a couple other players.
True.
That looks like some offsides there. Yeah.
By 10 yards.
I mean, way offsides.
You did have the bathrooms open.
I think over there.
Germantown trying to get an attack going here. They get the ball wide. That's going to open up some space. That's a great tackle.
Anthony's open wide on the right. He had him so far wide open on the right.
Good pressure by Steel FC.
Max Flick had that terrific tackle in the back. to get that ball out of trouble.
Right fullback.
Ange Lucchini, Brian Adams, and myself, Lee Adams, here on the broadcast, Shady Side Academy, and on a beautiful, beautiful night here in September. And if my memory serves me correctly, when Brian Lucchini and Brian Adams graduated, the senior song was September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That is correct.
And, you know, I think it's pretty funny because that's back in my day when the music was the best in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and a little bit of the 80s.
Well, it just goes to show you good music, you know, it's timeless.
Yes, it is. And everybody liked Earth, Wind, and Fire. Christian Lewandowski out wide to Alex Leggetti. There's Christian fighting for the ball. Christian goes down, and we have a call. I don't know if he's going to pull out a card or not.
He did pull out a yellow card.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Anne's got the good eyes.
Yellow card again.
Not sure who the foul was on, what number, but he did pull out a card.
Hopefully Christian's okay. I know that can hurt. So the first yellow. Germantown trying to get out of trouble here. They can't clear the ball. Done a nice tackle by the Germantown defender. I hear some Spanish speaking on the Germantown side, which is, you go into South America, Central America, soccer the biggest sport in those countries, our neighbors. They start playing soccer at a very young age.
And if you look at some of the best U.S. players, they go overseas for better competition. Christian Pulisic playing on Chelsea now will be a prime example of that.
Yeah, we're hoping the men's teams ramps up a little bit. They missed the World Cup this year, but the women continue to shine and win another World Cup. It's a nicely played off the chest, doing some nifty work, getting out of trouble. But you can only go so far.
I think Steel FC's done a good job so far of keeping the pressure on and maintaining a possession.
Matt McDyer with the steal to get them out of trouble. So Germantown City is definitely feeling the heat. There's no doubt about it. I think Steel FC has certainly got the better play here in the first half. But it's all about getting that ball in the net. This is one of those games where you could dominate a game and still lose by not finishing and the other team knocking one in.
It's very similar to hockey in that sense. We could have 50 shots on net and nothing goes in.
So the goalies play a big part, and
But, you know, the more pressure you keep on, obviously increase your chances.
it's a nice throw in. It's like a corner kick. There's Matt McDowell up there. I don't know what the call was. He pointed at one of the... Oh, someone's down. I think he pointed at one of the Steel FC players.
And I think right now Steel FC can afford to keep pushing up players and attacking until Germantown proves that they, you know, can counter successfully.
We do not have a scoreboard here, so we don't know what time we're in. But we're in the first half, and more than halfway through, I would think.
Roughly the 30th minute. It's 8:14.
And they play 45-minute halves, Brian?
I believe so. Yeah, a lot of this tournament is regulation, since you would feed into a pro level game. So even the size of the field was a factor for Brian Lucchini to book here. Most fields around the area can be undersized, so Shadyside has a pro size field, so that's why this game is being broadcasted here.
So you had some limited choices to pick from.
Right.
And this is a beautiful venue, absolutely beautiful. Oh, Matt McDowell with another stellar.
He's had a fantastic first half so far.
Matt McDowell has been one of the real bright spots of this first half for Steel FC. We've got some guys on this field that have some real skill sets, and it's a pleasure to watch, actually.
And I think, you know, with soccer, there's a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. And I think so far Steel FC has been playing to win, which is what you need to do.
Big throw in by Matt McDowell. So the ref went up to the player who knocked Anthony Vergara down. Much smaller than Anthony Vergara, but I guess he got some leverage on him. And the ref had some words for him.
Good ball.
It's a nice ball. You know, my experience with soccer in Western Pennsylvania is that teams with the less skill use physicality to try to compensate for their lack of skill. But in this game, it's just real clear. You need two things. You need skill and you need speed. And now you're talking. And then we move on to the next part of soccer IQ and seeing the field and getting the ball to where you need to get it to. But skill and speed are the two essentials to play well here.
And in terms of strategy, you definitely need to create spacing between your players. So getting the ball wide, crossing it in is going to be important in this game. Not to bunch up everybody in the middle, because then one defender can guard two people at once.
Yeah, spacing very, very important in this game. It just puts more stress on the defense.
And you can always pass the ball faster than you can run to that spot with the ball.
Brian Lucchini bringing a really nice team here into this tournament, or the qualifier for the tournament. I think he'd be real happy to get a win and move on to qualifier number 2. We got a lot of soccer to play though, a lot of minutes.
I think the next goal scored, if there is a next goal, is going to be very interesting. You know, how the teams adjust and re-strategize based off of that.
Yeah, if you're a 1-1 or 2-0, it does change the dynamic of the game. That's for sure.
With a 2-0 lead, if Steel FC were to gain that, you'd probably end up seeing Christian pull back a little bit more from the attacking zone. But you never know. It's just it's generally, you know, a safety guard to make sure that you ensure victory.
Matt McDyer with a beautiful anticipation, Steele on that ball coming wide, and he just followed it up, and they were just unable to get a shot on goal, but a great job by Matt McDyer, who's had a stellar first half. And that's the freerice.com word of the first half, stellar. You all need to go to freerice.com. We got an attack going on here. Look at that move. Whoa! Whoa!
And here's the second free rice word, vuvuzela, which is the horns that a lot of fans use in the World Cup.
Vuvuzela. If you got, you know, free rice, a great steal by Steel City, and they got, oh, we got a goal!
You might have just heard of vuvuzela.
That was a human vuvuzela. I think that was Anthony Vergara. Yeah, it is. He has a man bun.
There you go.
And I think the assist was by Brandon Suringer.
Great eyes, Ange.
Scoring with swag.
We need those Virginia eyes.
That's a crucial goal there. That could change the entire complexity of this game.
It really is, and you know, I've never had a man bun before, so I don't know how you maintain that. Maybe, you know, Anthony,
he could give us a little post-game interview.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess that's better than your hair flapping in your face.
Right.
Brian Lucchini's team jumping on top 2-0 here in the first half. He's got to be real happy with that. Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup qualifier. First game of 3 qualifiers to get into the tournament. Wow. Christian Lewandowski fighting for the ball. He's in some traffic. Pretty nifty ball handling, but you're not gonna. You can only dribble through so many people, and I think they're gonna call an offside. I heard a curse word. You know, in my world, they go to timeout. But these are adults. My line to my kids when I was raising them is, well, they never use curse words because they never heard me say them. But if they used a word I wasn't thrilled with, I'd say, there's 10,000 words in the English language and you want to go to the bottom of the barrel.
That would not be a free rice word of the game.
No. Freerice.com is so interesting. You go on that website, freerice.com, and they ask you, Christian Lewandowski, he's got himself some freedom here, and he goal! Mount Lebanon's own Christian Lewandowski with a beautiful through pass. I wish I could have identified who did that. I'm sorry to you. but Christian found a seam. They got it to him, and he put it right into the left corner. And that is a beautiful goal and gives Steel FC a nice cushion here in the first half. 3-0. And I don't think Germantown's real happy because they got quite a ride to make back home, and they don't want to get beat up, and that ride won't be so happy, let's say. 3-0. Brian Lucchini led Steel FC, playing very well. They just, not only do they have skill and speed, but they're playing connected. And that's a big part of soccer also. Play connected. So first goal by Matt McDyer, Mount Lebanon. Second by Anthony Vergara, Marshall University. And the third by Christian Lewandowski from Mount Lebanon. But he also went to Washington College. I'm sure he played there.
I think he did play there.
Yeah, he's a talented young man from a family with a lot of athletes in it. So now Steel FC just does not want to let down here. They want to keep putting the pressure on. But it's nice to have this kind of cushion. You can make a mistake. We got a lot of soccer to play. Oh, nice cross in. Oh, gee Louise. Beautiful, beautiful touch into Anthony Vergara. And he went right near the post. That almost went in.
And they're really looking to put the game away early here.
Why not? So there's no signs of taking it easy here with Steel FC. They are putting the pressure on. And they've really had some great opportunities. Another goal kick. And they've had a lot of goal kicks here also in the first half. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup qualifier, game 1, single elimination. Shadyside, beautiful Shadyside Academy on a balmy September evening here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And in other news in the world of football, Steelers are going to start Mason Rudolph, the backup, this week with Big Ben out.
Yeah, all the Bs are gone. Brown, Bell, and Ben, they're all gone
Now we
for
have
the season.
Juju, Connor, and Mason Rudolph, so the new generation.
Yes, it is.
And Christian Lewandowski and Brian Lucchini's alma mater, Mount Lebanon, they actually had a overtime winner last night on a header against West Allegheny boys. So Lebo boys soccer is now 7-1-1 with 7 wins in a row.
Nice, nice. Who coaches that team, Rye? Do you know?
Billy Purse.
Billy Purse, and I think the girls are coached by Seth Young.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Brian Lucchini actually offered Billy Purse, some assistance if he needed it throughout the year. So might be down there.
Brian Lucchini could certainly help them because he has a wealth of soccer knowledge, and he's put together quite an array of talent here on display tonight here at Shadyside Academy. A corner for Germantown, and Steel City trying to clear that ball. And I wanted to just mention about freerice.com. You go on the internet, go to freerice.com. They have questions on there. I think it's vocabulary questions. It really helps you to increase your vocabulary, but the interesting part of it is for every answer you get right, they donate 10 pieces of rice to hungry people across the world. Now you need 220 for subsistence during a day. So you could actually go on this site, increase your vocabulary, and feed some hungry people across the world. I mean, people waste a lot of time doing nothing, and they could do some good just by sitting in front of their computer on freerice.com. So I'm a huge fan of that website, to say the least.
So as much as we joke about the words, it's for a good cause.
It's a great cause because there's people in this world that don't know where their next meal's coming from. We just take it for granted here in this country, but that's not the case around the world.
Yeah, it should be 44 or 45.
It looks like that's the end of the first half. I don't think we have stoppage time. And just a terrific, terrific display of soccer.
Okay, I'm stopping it.
Here. Steel FC up 3-0. We learned at halftime that Steel FC Soccer has a website, and you'll be able to see a lot of information about Steel FC, some photographs. You might even get a photograph of this terrific broadcast crew. You might, because I'm sure you're going to want to see who these super bright trio are. And here we go. We're underway. Steel FC's on Twitter, Steel FC's on Instagram, Steel FC's on Facebook. But there's different ways to get on each one. Brian, what's the Twitter feed?
So to follow Steel FC on Twitter, it would be at Steel_FC15.
And I think the Instagram is Steel_FC. And I believe Facebook is just Steel FC. So you want to go on their website because these are a talented group of young men that have really shined here tonight in the first qualifier at Shadyside Academy, with this team driving all the way up from Germantown City, Maryland. And I don't think Germantown knew what they were walking into, but they see they have a formidable foe. And that would be the first word of the second half, Free Rice word of the second half, freerice.com, formidable.
Oh, there you go.
Brian, is DJ BA Productions, do they have any connection to this team, Brian?
That is correct. So I'm a multi-talented broadcaster here, and I also DJ and produce music, so I am one of the sponsors for this game, DJ BA Productions.
DJ BA Productions is one of the sponsors for Steel FC. Ange, do you know any other sponsors?
I think Lucchini and Company sponsored a little bit. That is Brian's.
The accounting.
The accounting firm, yes. That is Brian's dad's accounting firm.
He's such a great guy, Gary. And his dad, or his mom, Lynette.
And then Canes, maybe.
Yeah.
I know he was talking to Canes. I'm not sure if they came on board. Cane's Saloon up in West Liberty Avenue in Dormont.
And Kirk Trucking out in, I think, Murraysville
Kirk
may
Trucking.
have sponsored them also.
How about that? We need trucks, or those stores' shelves will be empty.
My first job out of college was actually a logistics planner role, and I dealt with a lot of truckers.
It's a very important industry in this country.
And there's every year there's fewer and fewer truckers, so the wages could see an uptick for sure, just with the less demand or less supply of them.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough life.
Right.
Germantown knows they have to put the pressure on here quickly. They got to try to get back in this game. When you're down 3-0, you need a goal in the worst way. And Steel FC is determined not to allow that.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Germantown have 2 strikers and then some midfielders push up significantly just to try to get themselves back in this.
Yep, offsides. Beautiful night here at Shadyside Academy. We have Steel FC from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania versus Germantown City FC out of Germantown, Maryland. They made the ride up, and they ran into a bit of a buzzsaw in the first half here, down 3-0. And this is the first of 3 qualifiers for the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
And just a side note about this this qualification, from any Pittsburgh-based amateur team, the most any team has ever gotten has been to the 3rd game in the series here, and they ultimately lost that game. So this would be the first, obviously, but the third, getting past the 3rd game would break a record for any Pittsburgh amateur team.
That's in modern times.
In modern times.
In modern times, because we've had 4 Open Cup winners.
So I guess
One in 52 and 56.
I guess there's a history here, and we've had 4 Open Cup winners here in Pittsburgh.
But they've been in the 50s and 60s.
I'll pull them up for you. You can read. I used to be the president of the state, so I kind of have this.
But in these days, soccer is so much more widespread than it used to be back in the day, but you have to start somewhere. And football heavy Western Pennsylvania. The tackle football kind. So we have a set piece coming up. Looks like Steel FC is going to have the ball, and I'm guessing he's going to put one in front of that net and see if somebody can get their head on it. Unless it's a little too jumbled.
18.
And he's got one of his teammates right behind him.
Then you had the first.
Although the Germantown City coach just yelled out not to give his teammate, who was wide open, that space.
Morgan Strasser, 49. And Harmerville Hurricanes.
Oh!
Harmerville Hurricanes won in 52 and 56. Brad?
Is Lee. You can say it.
There's a list of all the Open Cup champs. Harmerville won in 52 and 56, and then Morgan Strasser won in 49, I believe, and the first team of all amateurs to win the Open Cup was a Pittsburgh team called Pittsburgh Gallopin
So Harmerville won this in 1952.
in 1956.
They also won it in 1956.
And then you have Morgan Strasser.
Morgan Strasser. There was a Philadelphia Ukrainian Nationals won this back in the early 60s. New York, Hungary.
I grew up in Bethlehem. Bethlehem still won like 5 Open Cups.
Wow, Los Angeles won this.
Yeah.
back in the mid-'60s, back when we were getting ready for Woodstock and the Flower Childs and the hippies. Boy, that Woodstock documentary is interesting to say the least. Greek Americans in '74, San Francisco in '76.
It started changing around 94, 95, when MLS came about. So you started having them participating in the Open Cup, so it started changing a lot of things.
So in the mid-'90s, everything started changing with the advent of MLS,
Yeah.
and that changed a lot in the soccer world. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Keith Wellner, for that.
Keith Renner.
Keith Renner, I'm sorry. Thank you, Keith Renner, for that really interesting bit of history of this Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. If I'm not mistaken, Lamar Hunt owned the Kansas City Chiefs.
He did, as well as he owned the original Dallas team in the NASL.
So he also owned a soccer team, but he came to my attention through the Kansas City Chiefs when they were. No, that was back when Hank Stram was the coach, and they had quite a team. When it was an AFL and the NFL, and they finally merged at some point. The NFL was much stronger. The AFL was newer. But then Broadway Joe was in the Broadway Joe Namath was in the AFL with the New York Jets playing the NFL Baltimore Colts, and they were big underdogs. And Broadway Joe from Beaver Falls, he guaranteed a win in the Super Bowl, and he came through with it. And then all of a sudden, we had the two merge, and now we have the NFC and the AFC. And the Super Bowl has become a worldwide international event. So football, tackle football, has blown up in proportion, but soccer has grown quite a bit also, as it should, because it's such a great game. But I do know people in this area that are football frenzied people are not fans of soccer, and that's their prerogative, but this is a great game. They just think it's kicking the ball. It's so much more than kicking the ball. I mean, you need some skills to play this game.
Well, plus midfielders on average, in FIFA games run up to 8 or 9 miles.
Yeah, you're running 8 or 9 miles as a midfielder. You better be fit, or you're not going to be very effective.
UEFA did a study where the average midfielder was running 11,000 meters. The average forward 6,000 meters, the average defender 9,000 meters, and the referee was running 13,000 meters.
Wow. How about that? Those midfielders really put on the mileage along with the referee. And I like to talk about the referees. They go unnoticed a lot of times until there's like a foul that's called that people don't like going against them. But you cannot have these games without referees. You have to have referees. And it always kind of, one of my pet peeves is that people moan and groan at referees. Well, here's what I say to them. Try to be one. Try to be one. See how easy it is. Now, granted, they're going to make mistakes. They're going to make mistakes, and sometimes they're going to make bad mistakes. But it is a tough job.
I only did it for 35 years.
Yeah. I mean, I have big respect for referees and umpires and all those folks of baseball, basketball, football, soccer, all of them that take the, some would say thankless job. And now with instant replay in some of the big sports, I guess that kind of protects them to a certain extent, that if they get it wrong, it gets overturned. But it's a job that I have big respect for, and I don't yell at referees. In any team I've coached in soccer, baseball, basketball, my kids never yelled at referees because I taught them. Before you start doing that, try to do it sometime and see how easy it is. And that tends to end that discussion.
And there's always going to be some uncertainty around a couple plays, throughout the course of a game. But it's really on your team to overcome that and just be that much better to ensure that those don't impact the game and just decide the match.
Right, and I mean, referees don't always have good angles.
Right.
It's tough.
They get screened a lot.
Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of referees, and
Last game to win the Amateur Cup
I
was Heidelberg in 1955. He even won 54.
Heidelberg won.
Heidelberg has won 3 Amateur Cups.
Now 3 amateur cups. Now Heidelberg's in the South Hills, right next to Shar Valley School and Carnegie and Mount Lebanon, Bridgeville.
46, Castle Shannon was runner-up, and Morgenstrasse won in 43. Was runner-up in 42. Morgenstrasse won in 40. We always had good Castle, like there. Heidelberg runner-up, 38. Castle Shannon, 37. 36. Then Heidelberg runners up in 34. Pittsburgh, my night beverage, I didn't even know about them, 33. Pittsburgh Alpin, Heidelberg won 29, 27, and 55. So Heidelberg has won 3 amateur cups.
Heidelberg has a rich history, but it's back in the day, but they have a rich history of winning some cups and some championships, along with Castle Shannon. And I think, I grew up in the eastern side of Pittsburgh, Penn Hills High School, and soccer wasn't as big there as I think it was in the South Hills. And Beedling's one of the big South Hills developmental and clubs that have just been the standard bearer for a lot of these cup teams.
For the last probably 30 years.
They have their own little building for refreshments, I think.
They're one of the
That's
old
when you know
clubs.
you've made it.
That's the way it used to be. A lot of these teams were formed. A lot of them were mining towns,
Yes.
and they all had a club. And if you were good on the team, you get to work the better part of the mines, and you made more money.
That's interesting. That Heidelberg and Castle Shannon, they had a lot of miners.
They get 3,000-4,000 people out for a game. Too.
Wow. 3,000-4,000 people to those games. Who knew?
Sounds like the addition of the MLS into the mix has made it a little bit more challenging for the amateur teams to break through. But you never know.
But I think it's also had wider reach. I think it's helped this country have a wider grassroots reach.
Promoted the sport
Into all parts of this country. And I hope it continues to grow, because it's a terrific sport that's very difficult to be very good at. And once you get to learn the sport and learn how hard it is to play, you really appreciate it.
All right, now I got to find referees for your game tomorrow.
It's also going to be interesting,
Who's number 25?
Alex Leggetti, number 25.
Leggetti just came out, and Zach Partika, number 9, just came in for him.
Thanks, Ange. Those Virginia eyes are like a hawk. That's a great save by Steele. And they've just generally outplayed this team tonight.
Yep.
Where do you play at?
And really have had the
Played at
best
John
of the
Hopkins,
play.
and he's from Bethel Park.
I'm sure Brian Lucchini is happy with where things are now. They just want to maintain where they're at, and you can add another goal or two, all the better for insurance.
He was actually talking
They've
about
done a
it
good
last
job
year,
managing
the open
possession and just the pace of the game in the second half. You know, haven't done anything super flashy, but you know, just making sure that there's no big momentum swings.
And the one thing I've noticed about Steel FC is pretty much all of the players handle the ball very well in tight spaces. And that's another skill you have to have in this game, because you're not going to always have a lot of space. And that's when your skill level has to be higher, or you're just going to get the ball taken off you.
If you look at some of the greatest soccer players in the world, like Lionel Messi, you know, they don't always have the flashiest goals, upper 90, but you know, if they're able to just dribble through everybody, that, you know,
Messi and Ronaldo, two of the greatest players in the world. And you know, this is such a difficult game to play at a high level, and then you take it to Messi's level. I mean, now that is one talented guy.
He's only 5'6" or 7.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a game where you don't have to be 6'4" and like a basketball, football player. You can be pretty much close to any size with the skill.
There is a slight advantage having height on the corners, you know, in terms of heading it in, but you can get by with a lot of, you know, tactical skill work with you know, shorter players.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another part of this game that I really like. I think skill is quite a bit of an equalizer in this game. When you get to the younger levels of this game, and it's in all the games really, you know, my experience being involved in youth sports, like the parents want to see their little kids playing games. Well, that's not going to really help them advance. What's going to help them is skill development. And it's not as flashy, and it doesn't have, you know, the uniforms and the scoreboard and all the stuff that everybody likes. But if you want to get good and you want to move to the next level, you have to increase that skill base, or you're not going to get there. And just playing in games and scrimmaging, that can help to a small degree, but great skill instruction is priceless in soccer. And the other thing I'll say is, in soccer, another set piece here by Steel FC. Steel FC putting more pressure on. They're not really allowing this Germantown City team to really get it going. They have just really been the dominant team of this ball game. They look very, very good, and they've got another corner coming up here. But what I wanted to say about
I don't think they got the memo.
soccer is that, you know, I grew up playing baseball, basketball, football, and my kids wanted to play soccer, so I thought I need to learn this game. And FIFA, or PA West, whoever sponsored them, had some terrific coach courses to help you become more competent as a coach. I haven't seen that in really any other sport. They have great coach courses that you can be a youth level coach, or an E level coach, or a D, or a C, or a B, or an A. It's impressive what they've put together. And a coach that learns that is just only better for the kids, and the kids are the ones that benefit from that. So I give soccer a lot of credit for how well organized they are, and in the areas that are really vital. And one of them is coach training.
And there is a pretty solid club presence, you know, in Western Pennsylvania, be it through Beadling. Brian Lucchini's alma mater, Century United, actually had a lot of players from Mount Lebanon, and STM and so forth.
Germantown now, a rare attack. This Steel FC team is playing. They're playing very well connected soccer, and I have to give Brian Lucchini some credit for that. I mean, that just doesn't happen. That has to come from the coach and experience of these players. But Brian Lucchini doing a wonderful job putting this team together, and they've really looked good tonight here at Shadyside Academy, September 2019.
And part of strategizing is is building team chemistry. So just like in the NBA and any other sport, it's not enough to have a couple superstars. You have to find a way for them to pass the ball and play as a team.
Yeah, no, I put you on there.
Can you go down and grab Brian's phone?
I would accept them for you.
The camera's gonna die in 13 minutes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
He knows you're coming down.
I'll re-accept them. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Corey, yeah. Steel FC's
right there.
Winning their Open Cup match in the second half. It's 3-0 for them against the team from Baltimore. Steel FC playing in GPSL. They're in the Open Cup. They're playing the first round right now at Shadyside. Fonzie's doing the game. They're winning 3-0. Steel FC, yeah. Carton Devils play. The Carton Devils go down to Baltimore tomorrow, so I hope they do well too. So, hey. They're playing all right now. So, yeah. All right.
Anthony Vergara got away with a push right there, and Germantown City wasn't real happy that it wasn't called.
Oh, okay. How was that?
But I could see it plain as day.
Waynesburg. You don't even need to say anymore. They won or they lost.
And Ramsey Hartley, number 4, is now in for Christian Lewandowski.
So that's the second sub of the game. Thanks,
yeah, no,
Ange.
that's my fault. We talked about last night. I completely forgot about that. I'm having brain farts because it's been all kinds of fun. So, all right.
So Steel FC has not really played a defensive-minded second half. I think they continue to put the pressure on, and I think they just feel confident where they're at.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing? No, that's fine. I'm watching. We have 2 teams from the GPSL in the Open Cup. Yeah, Steel FC's playing. They're one of them, and then they're playing right now. I'm at Shadyside Academy. They're beating this team from Maryland 3-0. And then the Tartan Open Men. So this is the first round. The opening round is this weekend for all the amateur teams that are playing all around the country. So, anyway, can you do a game tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at Larry Mills? It's 9/11. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Somebody just scored a field goal. You guys having fun? All right, thanks, Mike. I'll talk to you. Yep, bye-bye. I think I got referees for tomorrow night for you guys.
Okay.
Since I only got the game 2 days ago, it was canceled, and then it was, we're back on.
We got a goal kick coming up. Germantown City has a pretty significant Hispanic presence on their team. And
not ball boys.
They
We just have the time on. Go get the ball. Quit line.
Yeah, that was quite a
Or learn to
quite a
shoot
boot.
straight.
Oh.
I'll hold it over here now.
Steel FC on the attack here. So it's tough for Germantown to get back in this game when they're living in their end with Steel FC in possession.
Get the fourth goal. That'll shut them up.
I think the fourth goal would. Oh, it was a nice. It was a nice idea, but it was just a little too high.
Now, this is the only time I've always ever run in my life.
So the players for Steel FC are Ethan Shula, defender, Brandon Searinger, the captain, Anthony Vergara, the forward, Eric Unovich, defender, Brendan Birmingham, the keeper, Matt Bischoff, another captain, Max Flick, a defender, Rob Euler, a midfielder, Christian Lewandowski, a midfielder, Alex Leggetti, a midfielder, Matt McDyer, a defender, and the three substitutes I believe we have are Ramsey Hartley, a midfielder, Zach Partica, a midfielder.
His dad was a hell
Maybe
of a
that's
player.
it. Maybe they got two.
The dad might have been
Two
the best player.
extras.
I
So
don't
they
know.
have 13 players, and he subbed them both in. So everybody getting some time here on Steel FC. That makes everybody happy. Brian Lucchini trying to keep that chemistry going for this ball club. I just think that, you know, I think Steel FC is just simply the superior team here. Well, that doesn't always mean you win, but they have just shown superior possession and ability to get out of trouble, and the ability to keep Germantown from quality shots. So they really haven't had a lot of quality shots. Steel FC was founded in 2015 with co-manager Tom Edelman. They won the minors division. In 16, they were promoted to the championship division. They ended up as a runner-up. In 17, a regular season league winner and tournament champ in the championship division. 18, they were promoted to the Premier Division, and they were runner-up to the defending Premier Division champs, the Tartan Devils, who they have a terrific team. And in 2019, currently in second place in the league, looking to dethrone the Tartan Devils, who are in first as champions.
That has to be a yellow card. That has to be a yellow card.
It looks like a yellow card to me, and yes, the ref pulls it out yellow all the way.
No need for that tackle. Seriously.
In 2019, Steel FC competed in the United States of America Soccer Association Region 1 Cup. They traveled to Baltimore in April for the quarterfinal of the USASA Region 1 Cup and defeated five-time USASA champion Christus FC 1-0 on a cross from Kevin Murray. Shearer headed it home, and through outstanding defense, they came away victorious. They also hosted a semifinal of the USASA Region 1 Cup in May, where they beat the National Premier Soccer League NPSL team, the Philadelphia Lone Star FC 4-1. Goals were by Christian Lewandowski, Matt McDyer, Lewis Osborne, and Ethan Shula. They went on to travel to Philly in June to compete in the final. Of the USASA Region 1 Cup, and they were runner-up to Newtown Pride FC based out of Connecticut. Steel on the attack here again. They've just continuously played on the attack since probably a quarter of the game in.
How much time?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Oh! What a save! It was a absolutely outstanding save by Brendan Birmingham off the header from Germantown City. That ball was destined to hit the back of the net, and I'll tell you what, Brendan Birmingham, the keeper, was phenomenal to get his hands on that ball and just knock it just enough to keep it out of that net. And Brian Lucchini was all fired up because why wouldn't you be? That was a terrific save by the goalkeeper.
That doesn't go in.
Yeah.
That was their best chance of the game right there. And they must feel very frustrated. And as this game continues to go on, you start to feel a bit deflated down 3-0. But you got to keep the pedal to the metal, and you play to the final whistle.
That's what it's going to take to keep advancing, because you're going to have teams with more formidable attacks.
They call a handball, maybe?
No, he's outside.
Oh, offsides. So Germantown here has a little momentum, and they're getting the ball down into
Very little.
Steele's 18. So this has been one of the few stretches of the game where they put some pressure on Steele, and they almost knocked one in. I mean, it was that close.
Didn't have many chances.
You know, it always, you know, I always used to think when I started coaching soccer and a team is getting shots on goal, but then one of the shots ricochet off one person and off another and it goes in, and people would say that's just lucky. No, there's a nice save by the Germantown keeper. People would say that's lucky. And after I had a chance to really process that, if you continue to put pressure and get shots on goal, yeah, you're going to get lucky. I mean, that's what happens. So it's not some fluky goal when you're just taking 10 shots and then the 10th shot goes off somebody and it goes in the goal. That's just called pressure.
Well, some people would argue there's no such thing as luck. It's just all
Hey,
preparation.
Scott, this is Keith. I gave you a game tomorrow night at North Strabane at 7:30. If you can't do it, send it back right away. Let me know. All right? Bye.
Steel City with a set piece from almost midfield. I think we're moving into the second part of the second half now. That's played very well, letting that ball out like that. And that was due to his teammate telling him to do that. And it was well done, as they say in soccer.
Just how I like my hamburger.
Yes. I just think in soccer, I've heard well done more than any other sport I've been involved with, and I've been involved with a bunch. Well done and unlucky. That's what,
How about stuck in? Get stuck in.
get stuck in?
It's an English
What
phrase.
does stuck in mean?
It's an English phrase for going into the tackle hard.
Oh, an English phrase, going for the tackle hard. Well, what a history they have of soccer in Europe. It's just deep and rich. And the
He
European,
just went stuck in. He got stuck in.
oh, that was a stuck in right there.
Yep.
So here we come, Germantown on the attack. They got some space, a little cross, but the defender does a nice job of getting his foot on it. And here comes Steel FC on the counter. Germantown just having trouble sustaining this attack, but they're going to get another opportunity here. Shot! Unfortunately, right at the goalie. Brandon Birmingham with a nice save. He stayed down for a little bit because that ball had some mustard.
He's just wasting time. Why would you do that?
Here comes Germantown again. I think they're feeling a sense of urgency, as you may say. Down 3-0 in the second part of the second half. They got to get something going or they're going back to Germantown out of this tournament. Shot! Oh! Goal for Germantown City, Maryland. They finally break the ice and they get on the scoreboard. 3-1 Steel City. So they've had some continual attack here in the last, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. And they almost knocked one in, and they finally got the second one in. If that first one would have been in, it'd be a 3-2 ball game, but we're at 3-1 now. So Steel City's going to have to firm things up and try to get themselves one in the back of the net. Well, that goalie was real smart to come out there because he might have been in some big trouble otherwise. I like a goalie that's aggressive. Here comes Germantown again. The guy that scored that goal is probably one of the smallest guys on this field, but he's able to save. I think Brendan's had a terrific game tonight. He probably wasn't real happy that went in, but
no goalies are ever happy when it goes in. I know, I used to be a goalie.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a different mentality to be a goalie. You're out on an island.
No, you're nuts.
And some would say they're crazy.
They are.
And but what a valuable piece to a soccer team. A good goalie can hide some flaws.
And there's a lot of cases where keepers have to make a split decision on whether to rush the player or stay back, and sometimes you do need to come up and cut off the angle for the shot when it's a breakaway.
Yeah, so they have to make some critical decisions because if they make they make a mistake back there, there's no one behind them. We got to ask him about that man bun. Maybe he'll explain it on Steel FC Soccer website. You know, this game will be on Steel City Soccer FC Soccer website. And you'll see some info about it on Instagram. You'll see it on Twitter and you'll see it on Facebook. So if you're a fan of soccer, go on to watch this and tell your friends. You see some good soccer here from the Pittsburgh area.
A couple more popular soccer phrases I've heard is a good ball and then with pace in reference to passes.
Yeah, a good ball is a good ball. We all know what that is, and pace is important.
Through ball.
Yeah. Through ball. Probably the strategy for Steel FC at this point is to maintain as much possession as they can. And if they get a shot, they take it. But sometimes that's easier said than done. Because Germantown is certainly playing with some urgency, especially after getting like they have a chance to. Boy, I wish I was bilingual. I could understand.
I know all the swear words.
I I know loco. I know what loco means.
You know what Besame Culo means?
Oh!
You know what Besame Culo means? Kiss my.
Leave.
Bendejo is a-hole.
This is a G-rated program here. You got.
I know, that's why I'm not saying
We have family. This is family filter TV. This is a G-rated program, and we want our little kids to watch this. Because if you're a little guy or girl, you could play soccer at this level, but I'll tell you, it's going to take a lot of skill work. You got to put the work in. As my nephew, who played middle linebacker for Central Catholic, who's now on scholarship at Notre Dame, he always says you got to put the work in.
Absolutely. No matter what sport or endeavor in life.
And that's right. That applies to all parts of life. And the other reason I love sports is the life lessons that you learn in these games, being part of a team and sportsmanship. They apply to your life. Your life. Whoa, my goodness, what a beautiful cross. And that header just popped over the top of the crossbar. And if he would have got that header a little more centered, I think we might be in a 3-2 situation right here. That was a beautiful cross, and he got it right to the head of the attacker on Germantown, and they've saved their best chances here for the second half. So I don't know if it's a matter of them playing with more urgency. It probably is. They're playing with a little more urgency than Steel FC now, because it's single elimination. I heard Brian Lucchini say 3 minutes. I think that might be how deep we are into this ball game, or this match. Let's say the match.
Aside from stoppage time.
Don't argue with the ref. You never win that argument anyway.
I don't know if they're doing stoppage time here. I don't know.
Yes.
If they are, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of it. There hasn't been too much stoppages for any
There's
type.
been one goal in this half, 3 cautions, 1 injury. So probably 2 minutes.
3-1 Steel FC over Germantown City FC out of Germantown, Maryland. I would have to guess it's between. And they were hoping to drive home with a victory, and right now they're in some trouble. Oh! They calling for a handball?
Yep.
That's what Germantown had their hands up saying,
Well, there's no VAR here, so.
yeah, where's the handball? And VAR is a very recent development in the soccer world, and it changed a lot of calls in the Women's World Cup, that's for sure. But no VAR here tonight at Shady Side Academy. That's a little over our pay grade. But it's been an enjoyable night here with Ange Lucchini, Brian Adams, and myself, Lee Adams. And you go on that Steel FC.
Learn to get rid of the ball sometimes.
You go on that Steel FC website, you might even get a chance to see the announcers. Doesn't want to see the announcers. I mean, they're in your ear the whole night, so you might as well want to see what these characters look like. And that is the game, set, match, and Steel FC wins this first qualifier of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, 3-1 over the Germantown City FC out of Germantown, Maryland. It was an interesting match. Steel FC really had, I think, the better of the play. However, when Germantown was feeling some real urgency on the second part of the second half is when they had their best chances. but fortunately Steel FC was able to withhold, and they come up with a big victory here, 3-1. Coach Brian Lucchini very happy with the outcome, I'm sure. They're shaking his hands. They get to move on to the qualifier number 2, which we don't know where it will be, but against the amateurs. And we wish Brian Lucchini and his Steel FC squad the best of luck. We hope that you enjoyed the broadcast tonight. Again, I want to thank Ange Lucchini and Brian Adams for their contributions. They were key to bringing us a good broadcast here tonight, and we certainly hope you enjoyed it. Go on to Twitter, go on to Facebook, go on to Instagram, and Steel FC has their own website, and you'll be able to see this game on the Steel FC website, and you'll be able to locate them on those other social media venues. So we thank you for watching, and we hope you join us again for another contest of the Steel FC and their quest to move on into the Lamar Hunt US Open Cup qualifier. Thanks again for watching.